Guys, set it around. We're starting in 1 minute. Turning over a new leaf today. We'll start fresh. All right, guys. Big echo.
I don't even know why it's doing that. Oh.
Are you muted?
No, I'm muted.
Okay, wait. Check. Okay, yeah. Cool. Boom. Nothing like some technical difficulties. Guys, we're in Roma, Italy right now, only for a couple days. We're going to see the Colosseum tomorrow. But then we're moving over to Cyprus. Finally, this has been a very long trip. I know you guys have been tuning in here and there along the way on our journey. We've been trading along the way. We've been giving away money along the way. We've been doing lots of giveaways on our Twitter along the way. I think I'm on 27 out of 50. So I got another, 23 left. I've been doing 50 giveaways, Emma. 50 give. I don't know if you've noticed, but
I noticed.
Yeah. 50 giveaways, and I have another month. Bless you. Only another month here. 50 giveaways plus one giveaway today. 50K account that Emma will be choosing. Today's topic is turning over a new leaf. We're starting fresh. We have determined that in the past few streams that beginners often do a lot better than intermediate traders. Reason being is they don't overthink it. They look at what the trend is. They kind of just follow the trend. When it's going against them, they're like, hey, that does not look good anymore. I'm going to get out, right? Rather than hoping and trying to play this game of, hey, I'm the best trader. I'm the right trader. I'm always right. And those ideas that we talked about, I believe last week or the week before, always needing to be right causes us a lot of problems. Now, when we take ourselves back a moment and we humble ourselves and we say, hey, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm not very good at this, dumb hunter, right? And that's something that really helped me. So hopefully this sort of idea pushing you guys back to your roots might help you. Cool. That being said, James is here as usual. Introduce yourself, James, if people don't know you.
Yeah, what's up, guys? My name's obviously James I'm all the way in South Africa, and I've been doing the podcast there with Hunter and Maven for a good 2 months now. I'd say two to 3 months. So yeah, I've been day trading for 7 years, not as long as Hunter, but definitely, as you can see, I'm quite stressed. Day trading makes you stressful. I've got no hair left. So yeah, I've been doing this 7 years, and always a pleasure to be on with you guys.
Now, when you let me just hear a story from you, James. I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah. Give me the breakdown of your trading journey, how you started, how you developed into intermediate, and then how you finally took into profitability. And I just want to play ball here and see what you say.
Yeah, I actually have a great story to when you told me about this topic. I actually had an easy story about resetting and that, because I think every trader goes through these type of moments where maybe you have a losing streak, or you're not going to win every single day. That's not going to happen, right? Even the great Hunter has losing days. No. So back in 2018, I was playing professional rugby in South Africa, and I tore my knee up. And basically, I was like, listen, I need to find something that's going to, give me a purpose outside of, maybe I was also studying my degree at the time, out of that. So I found trading, and obviously I went through the whole loop, lost for 2 years before I had my first 6-figure year actually trading personal capital before I found prop firms and what have you. But basically, after my first 6-figure year, I thought, I'm going to be a millionaire in the next year, and life's just good and everything like that. And then I hit my first heavy drawdown streak. Actually, in one day, I lost over $30,000. So it can hit you quite hard. And obviously, after that, you have to reset, right? And I think the main thing that I learned from that and that story basically is that, when it's going well, appreciate it. When it's going bad, it's not as bad as you think it will. There's always a failure, unless it's catastrophic. There's always an out, so you just got to reset, refocus. And basically what I found from that story in my own trading career so far is that you just got to, reset, rebalance, get your mind right. Because if your mind's not in the right place, there's no ways that you're going to be able to actually trade from a mindset of abundance, because there's always opportunities in the markets. But if you're trading from a point of view, I need to make that loss back, or I need to make that $30,000 back, you're not going to do it. So yeah, that's kind of my story of resetting and refocusing.
Cool.
And it did take me a couple months, I might add you.
I also have a really awesome story about completely hitting the metaphorical bottom of losing everything, right? And that is a story that we will talk about, and we will continue on James's story immediately after we look at the markets. Let's dive into the market right now. I've got a chart up here. Is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ basically leads the move lately. We've got the weekly close last week was relatively bearish, okay? We have these wicks on the top side, failing to enter into the zone after, we did enter that zone rather, and then losing it, so failing to make new highs afterwards, showing weakness coming into that zone. And as well, the confluence of this monthly level is, it's a bit, it does not show strength, right? We have 3 days left on the month. So you guys are going to have to play on your own in the next 3 days. And we're going to have to tune back in next week and show you how the monthly actually closed. But if this level does not hold strong and the weekly is showing that, hey, potentially we're actually going to be rejecting off the current point that we're at right now and then continuing back down, there's a really strong indication that, hey, Trump's wrath is not over yet. We had this retest of that zone. And if we do fail, where are we coming back down? Well, you've got some zone that showed really here and here, right at 19.4. That would likely, in the worst case scenario, let's hope that's the worst case scenario, because there's a lot more pain on the bottom side, but that is a really strong wick. So long-term plays for the market showing me a good chance that we have a decent pullback here to sub 20Ks again. Bitcoin. Completely different view. Broke all-time highs, clean breaks, kissing back at those retests and continuing back up. Bitcoin is in a blue sky breakout right now. We have no clue of when this is going to end, but play that lightly because it does follow the NASDAQ as well. So if the NASDAQ does start dumping, you need to be prepared that Bitcoin might not be going for that 200K that you're looking for right now. It might need to consolidate at this level a little bit, pull back a bit, show some support before ripping up to 200K. And back down to gold. Everyone wants gold too. And gold, again, similar sort of thing is gold has been going up forever, but there is a little bit of pullback. It looks like markets overall are showing just a little bit of, hey, I don't know what's happening next. So that monthly candle is going to be really, really important over the next few days for you guys to determine where things are going to go. Mind you, you could probably buy gold and be good for the next 20 years if you wanted to. James, any differing views on that? Anything you wanted to look at?
No, I had some longs on the S&P this morning. So yes, whatever you want to call it. Yep. Really nice longs. I actually entered on that 15-minute close at the bottom there. So quite a nice entry. Yeah, with my stop at the pin low. Yep. So quite a nice entry there. But really, really nice. Actually, if you look at the 15-minute time frame, actually kissing that daily VWAP and that 200 EMA, which I got obviously up on my screen, which I've spoken about on streams before. But just a simple market price action. We're making high lows and dumb money concepts. We're making high lows. I'm looking to get in for long. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, I'll get out. I'm not going to be right all the time. But yeah, market does look to be quite bullish. I like the daily time frame. I agree with you. Maybe we could be heading back towards all-time highs. The DAX, actually, funny enough, is actually for a new all-time high today as well. So yeah, look at that.
DAX showing no signs of stopping whatsoever. That is the complete outlier. Absolutely just destruction in the DAX. The ES, similar to the NASDAQ, in my opinion, great buy off the bottom. I did a similar buy on the NASDAQ. We bought the lows because of some weekly levels, and it did seem strong. Now, I'm personally looking for some shorts currently. I think that is the end of the day. That's my personal opinion. I think we're basically at the top of the day for the NASDAQ and the ES. We're coming back into those major weekly levels. Right. Yep. And I'm not looking at much higher than that. If it does rip up, then all glory to it. But it's a bit iffy at this point. Nice.
Okay. James, someone has been really asking multiple times. They want to know what your strategy for this pair is.
Gold.
Yeah, I like using the moon phase cycles. No, I like using, as I said, simple price action. I like using the 50-minute time frame to get my levels. Looking for high lows, lower highs, and then, as I said, I like using VWAP with opening range. That's kind of what I like to use for the indexes, particularly the DAX. Which obviously opening range will be different. It will be 3 a.m. to 3:15 a.m. The opening range is the first 50 minutes high and low of the session. And then the NASDAQ and ES charts as well. I actually mainly trade ES, whereas Hunter mainly trades NQ, but I do actually find some good trades on NQ as well. But yeah, DAX actually, I would say, because I'm in South Africa, you guys on the same time zone as me, is my main traded index, simply because it's when at 9 a.m. my time. But yeah, VWAP and the opening range with simple price action. As I said, I like actually using the 5-minute and 15-minute time frames. 15-minute for my thesis. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm just going to jump in really quick. Guys, I love you all, but you're spamming a little too much, and I'm going to start timing you guys out.
Yeah.
So,
all the questions.
Stop.
All the questions. They're used to watching my stream where it's absolute chaos.
Chaos.
Yes, but I want to collect questions.
Guys, this is an organized space here. You don't collect points like on the Kick stream. Everyone's always spamming. How many points I have? How do I get more points? They got this gamble feature too.
I have to put anyone in a timeout.
Yeah.
So don't make me do it, please.
Put them in the timeout and put somebody to shame.
Okay.
The next person that acts up.
Oh, we just got one. There we go.
Timeout. Right. Story time. Okay, so I was a trader who had to reset. That is the story, right? And I was a okay trader back in the day. We did some YouTube stuff, made a little bits of money here and there. But again, a large portion of the income was from longer term investments. The day-to-day trading was very, very shaky and very difficult because why? Because I was trying to follow all of these different concepts that everyone teaches. I'm not going to bash on any concepts, ICT, SMC, any of these things, right? And the idea, though, is there were so many of them, and we're trying to apply all these things, and we're trying to be this smart trader, right? And be this trader that knows everything about the market, right? And always tries to figure things out perfectly, okay? And from there, it really causes a lot of confusion. And in, day out, you might have a lot of ups and downs, crazy hits or misses, valleys, and losing streaks and winning streaks, right? Because each individual week or session, you might be on it, you might be off of it, right? And it's very difficult to maybe sustain that stability, right? So I made a bunch of money on the crypto upswing a few years back, crazy amounts of money, and then ended up ultimately holding the bag while crypto started crashing, trying to trade my way out of it. And the crypto was crashing and it was messing up my psyche. I couldn't do it anymore. And I basically went bust, nearly bust. I had a large portfolio and it went down to an amount that I wouldn't be able to live off of anymore at that point. I wasn't able to trade off of it anymore. And I had to reset. Now, mind you, I had invested a lot of that money into Maven, started Maven, and Maven ended up taking off. Now, that gave me the opportunity to figure something out in my mind is, hey, I have this huge other focus now. Maven is my huge focus. And that actually was a blessing because now I can come in and be like, what is the easiest thing? And I reset my mind and I went and I started testing again. And I was like, it's going up, right? So I just bought and then just scalped. And I actually took a few prop firm challenges here and there throughout the board, right? And for some reason, just buying when it was it's going up, boom, buy, scalp it all the way to take profit, get my payout. And I started tracking. I was like, I'm making like 5x my investment, right? And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Now, there was a little bit of madness to this. And I started organizing a plan of making it very, very simple. The interesting thing about this is that's where dumb money concepts kind of came from, is creating a rule system around something that is so simple, using some momentum, using what is the next move only, and not trying to predict the future, just what is the next move, right? And making it super, super simple and resetting that mind allowed me to take my trading into a point where pretty much profit every single week at this point, right? And that was the major turning point for me.
Hunter, do you think that focusing, you kind of only really trade the NASDAQ now, do you think focusing on one is better?
Oh yeah, totally. Now I can sometimes trade Bitcoin. I like to long-term hold Bitcoin and I like to look at the market.
Yeah, but you don't day trade it. Yeah.
I do not day trade Bitcoin because it's different. And a lot of people say, why don't you trade gold? I'm like, well, why would I confuse myself? Right? I look at two things at once. The only time I've ever really traded something else was that like one time that I told you I'm taking the ES trade because the area of interest was too large on the NASDAQ for that day. So
yeah,
like,
you traded it with me. I remember on stream. Yeah.
Exactly. Switched over to the ES. The area was smaller so that I could have a tighter risk management in my mind, right? I'm not going to say stop loss because I don't like using stop losses, but my risk management was tighter that way. So you end up completely resetting your mind after, a decade in the industry, thinking that you're hot shit, having these boom and bust cycles, right? And the reality is when we humbled ourselves and we focused on something else and we made the strategy super, super simple. Hey, Wix, what's that guy's name? Wix don't lie. Is that Raja Banks? Wix
No, not Roger Banks. Wix don't lie is Wix don't lie is Roger Banks.
It's Raja, right?
I'm thinking of that guy, Fibs don't lie. Remember that guy, Fibs don't lie.
Fibs don't lie, and then I think there's candles. There's candles don't lie. There's a bunch of
there's a lot of folks that don't lie.
Yeah, nobody lies, eh? Nobody lies in this industry.
Nobody lies, bro. Nobody lies.
Now, with that wonderful story, now here I am able to actually confidently trade in a position that I'm actually quite enjoying the trading in. And a lot of people are really in that up and down cycle, and they need to step back and they need to say, hey, what is the easiest way to go about this trading? Yeah. Now, James, I want to know more about how you reset, because you had that big loss.
Yeah.
Big loss. What did you do to reset and reanalyze how your trading worked so that you could then push to not have those giant losses anymore?
Yeah, I think something that I did was just getting time off the desk. I think a lot of it, when you try and push, or whenever you've taken a loss, you just need to actually just get some break. It's like a sportsman. Sometimes a sportsman has an injury. You've had an injury on the trading desk to your trading account. You need a little bit of a break. And sometimes it actually can help you just rejuvenate a little bit of clearer thought processes. Not only do you feel like, okay, you get a broader term aspect because you can come up and see like, okay, well, these are my plans for the next year, 5 years. So let's just think from big picture point of view. So I got off the desk and just get some time away. And then you realize, shit, you actually, you don't actually have, it's not that bad. You just got to actually, I haven't died. I haven't lost my life. I haven't, just get back in the saddle and you keep pushing and keep it simple. I think that's probably the easiest thing. And obviously now with prop firms, I mean, you can go get a 100K account and make a couple of grand every single week, on the account. So I think and the more you can scale up, the better you're trading, the more you can scale up. If you can make money on a 100K account, you can make it on $1 million account.
Now, it's interesting because the two different sort of mindsets here, the two different practices, is James is talking more about a sort of day-to-day reset, right? And my story was much more hey, I had to take a year off basically. And I had to, and something clicked in my mind and I was like, why don't I just fucking make it simple, you know? And I think there's a merit to this, is longer term cycles of resetting. And then there's the intraday resetting. There's the weekly resetting, the monthly resetting. So having that practice built in every single day, every single month, every single year, where you can reanalyze and go back to always go back, because as traders, we like to think we're hot shit. And we get snowballed into this idea that we are hot shit, and we are for a while. And then that's a limiting sort of belief, not a limiting belief, but that's something that holds us back, right? Is because we keep getting to this point where we get profit. And then we're like, yeah, we'll do whatever, right? And we'll just let it all go because we're not resetting and pulling ourselves back. So to have a practice at the end of the day, at the start of the day, at the end of the week, that you can, then journal, or you can have some sort of meditation that you can reset that mind. Do you do any journaling, James? I think you use.
I do journal. Yeah, I use TradeZella personally to journal. And also I think I do a lot of prayer as well before, just to get clarity before every single day. I think everyone should be doing something like that. Just to get also at the end of the day, like. What's the worst that you can do when you come to desk? Lose some money. Okay, cool. Once I actually realize that, like, the worst I can do is lose how much I put on risk on the trade. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Sun's still going to come up tomorrow. You move forward. And that's the biggest thing. But I think particularly like time away from the desk, and like, if you're on like a losing run, just get a week off the desk. Just come back, just chill, give yourself a break. Yeah.
It's I think it is a very difficult task for a lot of people, because they do over invest their net worth into these accounts. They do care way too much, and so stepping away is a very difficult thing for a lot of people. And it's kind of a bad habit for some people too, is that they just keep sitting here. But the reality is, if you want to be a good trader, and this is the God honest truth, if you want to be a good trader, you have to be able to walk away and not care about the money, right? Otherwise, you're gonna lose it. You're gonna overtrade. You're gonna try to make ends meet. And we've heard this a million times before. Every single trader, whoever makes it, has some sort of disciplined practice in their life that makes them, not have attachment to the trade itself. Right? Yeah. Now, what else did you say there?
I as I said, I think just having a plan, write some goals down, and also just don't compare yourself to anyone else. I think that's probably, I don't know about you, Hunter, but I think a lot of guys, particularly in the trading space, they're always trying to like one up each other. And I'm like, dude, like the only thing that really matters for me is if I'm, providing for my family. So everyone's got different goals, also, this is a fact. However much money it costs to live in America, it's not going to be the same as South Africa. It's just not. So everyone's got different goals, different plans, and just stay focused on what you need to do. That's what I would say.
That's great advice there, James. I think we need to dive into a couple of questions here.
Gosh, I have so many questions.
So many questions. This is great. I think this is a good topic. Huh?
Yeah, it's a good topic. I've got some generic ones that have come through, some other ones. I've tried to collect them, but chat's pretty fast today, which is great. I'm glad everyone's having a good time.
Apparently I look cool, the chat says.
Huh?
You do everyone says you look great. Okay, so let me see if I can pull up some recent questions. I think so. I have this one written down because John has asked this a few times. When do you know it's time to reset everything and not just tweak your strategy? Like,
yeah.
You have to have a measured goalpost for this.
Reset everything, hey?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking about reset, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great question.
It is a great question.
Because we're really realistically, what we're trying to do in this podcast is, not give your regular, you should do this, you should do that. It's more, how do I do the things that we should do? Because everyone, regurgitates the same sort of garbage over and over, and, all these different YouTube videos and everything, do this, do that, right? Have proper discipline. But how do you have that, right? So I think that's what the question really is. So how do you know when to tweak it? I think For myself, to tweak it means you haven't figured out statistical data yet, right? So if you don't have enough data points that show for sure that something is not working, maybe tweak it. But if you're trying to force something to work, and how do you recognize that something is being forced to work? I think it largely goes into your emotion behind it, right? Again, I like to talk a lot about emotion, and if you can pay attention to your emotional attachment to a strategy, like if you really believe that a strategy, like if you're really invested in a strategy, I think it's time to blow it away, right? Unless that strategy is working for you already. Then sure, go ahead and be emotionally attached to it as you want, as long as it's making you money. But if you're emotionally attached to a strategy and it is not making you money, why? You know what I mean? Maybe it's time to completely reinvent the wheel at that point. The only time where I would continue to tweak it is, hey, maybe there's a new strategy that I'm testing out, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? Then I can move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think just from my side on that, I think that you got to find a strategy that kind of fits how you want to trade. For example, some guys do better at scalping, the 1 minute time frame. This is just I did tweet about this today, but if you've been trading for a couple of years and you're still unprofitable, get off the flipping 1 minute chart, because it makes you so irrational. You have to make quick decisions. Not everyone's good at making fast decisions. Some guys are better at making slow decisions. Okay, get to the 50-minute time frame or the hourly time frame where you can make a decision once every 50 minutes or once every hour. Everyone sees these guys trading online and they're like, I want to trade exactly like that. But what that person's it's why they wired completely different to you. So you got to find a strategy that also works for you too. And then I would say also get some data or statistics behind you that actually makes sense, into why you're actually trading this. Okay, I'm trading a break of the previous day's highs because if we break previous day's highs, we've got a 70% chance of closing the day bullish, whatever the hell it is. But get some stats behind you as well.
I love that. That breakdown actually is, if it doesn't fit exactly what makes you calm, right? Yeah. If you're trading the 1 minute time frame and you're agitated and anxious and sitting there on your chair fucking up, destroy it, throw it away, right? But if that's what calms you down, and it actually works well in your favor, then tweak it, I suppose. Yeah.
Like for me personally, I'll tell you, I don't do well at trading the lower time frames. I actually prefer to trade like off a 50-minute chart. It just is what I do better.
Same.
Yeah.
And that kind of flows into a lot of other strategy questions that we got. So one of them was, is there any such thing as best strategy? I guess the answer that you guys have given is no. There's no.
No. Well, sorry, before Hunter touches on that also, this type of question also irritates me a lot online. Everyone's like trying to, measure each other's, what online to see whose strategy is the best and whatever. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't really matter what strategy you trade. I mean, I've seen some guys that are absolute killers that actually just trade based off like, okay, this is a high low. I'm going to trade with the stop at the low. I'm going to put SARS on. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. But if the strategy was the reason for these people being so profitable, everyone would be trading the exact same way, but we're not. Everyone trades completely differently. If the strategy, that's why it always comes down to the trader. If it was the strategy, everyone would be trading the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, good answer, James. Yep. Yeah, I'm right on there with you.
So there's a bunch of questions about like when you reset and you come back, how do you prevent like past trauma or issues or biases from coming back into a fresh restart?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's like losing the trauma from your ex relationship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess just like an ex relationship, you need to learn to trust your new strategy, right? And until proven otherwise, you can't react the way that you were in the past strategy or the past relationship, right? You need to act as if, and I know it's a difficult task to be said, but until you're proven that, hey, my reaction here is the wrong idea, right? Then then you have to act. You have to act the way of the new idea. And I get, then the question becomes, how do I remove my impulses? Well, that's the whole practice of trading, is it not? I need to remove my impulses and do the thing that I don't want to do.
Yeah. So I guess the real question here is, when you're coming back from a reset, are there certain kind of checks you can put in place for yourself, like measurable check?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll give another one. Sorry, I'm a bit on a rampage here. Basically,
James, we love it.
no, just based on that is like you also sometimes have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, listen, am I gonna be the same person that I was before and make the same mistakes? Because what did Albert Einstein said? If you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So you got to look at yourself in the eyes and say,
I'm sure that's a quote from Einstein, eh?
It is. But if you can't carry on doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. You can't. So you have to basically say, and before you're coming back, you got to make a deal to yourself. And if you don't, well then you're not gonna change. Well then you're not gonna win. It's as simple as that.
Kind of leads into this one, which is, how am I supposed to believe when my tweak or reset is working? I think this is a bit more about your confidence in psychology than anything else.
Yeah. How am I supposed to believe when my tweak or reset is working?
I think this is kind of when journaling comes in handy, right? To look back at old things versus new things.
I mean, Emma's got a point. The journaling is important. Personally, I don't journal, but I'm a bit of a lunatic with that. It's largely more emotional for me. But yeah, I think Emma's got a really good point. Journaling and having the data would be really, really important. But data can trick you, so that's why I prefer looking at my emotions, right?
You're very in touch with your emotions, though, and you meditate and stuff. Not everyone does that. So for some people, they kind of need that objective journaling to write down what they're feeling at the time.
Well, journaling in itself is a meditative practice, right? So that you can plot all of those ideas down in a different way than I would plot my ideas down in my head, right?
This is a funny comment, which is they journal after every trade, but it's mostly them writing, why did I do that over and over?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so what was the last question again? Say it again for me.
So it was how do I believe? How do I have faith in the fact that my tweak or reset is working?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I've been trading on live stream quite profitably every day for the past year now, and I still don't believe it's going to work every single day. So it's an interesting thing, is like, you don't really need to believe. You just have to do it anyways, right? And it's again, another thing is a big practice in my life now is I do some prayers here and there, right? And it's a similar thing. Is I always grew up atheist, but I started doing prayers just because I wanted to do some testing, and it started working. And I still don't know what I believe, right? So you don't really need to believe. You just need to know that, hey, when I pray before and I put my thoughts and my gratitude and everything down on paper, it makes things go better, right? So it's an interesting thing, is as long as you follow the practice, you don't need to believe it works at all.
I had a question from earlier, and more about this is more about ego than anything else. So what is something that traders commonly do where they take a break to reset, but they come back and they still have something that's very ego driven that's holding them back? Like, what is that thing?
Sorry, say again?
Basically, so when traders come back from a break and they say they're good, they're psychologically ready, but then they still make the same mistake, what is that usually that factor of ego that's holding them back? Is it like over belief in themselves? Is it thinking they're the best trader? Like, what usually trips them up when it comes to their ego when they try to reset?
I think the most common thing is the impulsivity, right? Like, not necessarily an ego problem, but trying to just trying to make money fast. Again, it's an issue of people want to trade because they want fast money. They want to be rich quick, but it is an insane concept because trading is actually probably one of the slowest ways to make money if you don't already have an insane amount of money, right? Because it does not scale well at the bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Like if you have $1,000, you're not going to be making any money really, and that's why prop firms exist, right? And that's why people have gone to prop firms, is because you can scale a little bit faster. But in my opinion, like even $100,000 is not, like for Western world at this point, is not like it's not enough to live off of, right? So, you know, the issue is not ego. It's about you know, not having the discipline to be able to take your time. Market's pumped up right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why you're over there with the doing trades?
Well, my stop loss got hit, is what it was. Yeah, because I was shorting the weekly level. Yeah. So I did put a stop loss in while I was, so you know, that's the only time I'll ever use a stop loss is when I'm not paying attention. Yeah, so that it closes out automatically, right?
Okay, I'm just going through some of these questions. I feel like some of them we have answered. Let's see. So someone wants to know if you still think Bitcoin's eventually going to go to zero.
I've never said Bitcoin will go to zero.
Well, everyone seems to think you did at some point because I seem to get that question every now and then.
I sometimes make videos saying that you should be selling your Bitcoin, but I'd never say that you should go to zero. I say that to be a top buyer is moronic, and that is my aggressive opinion. To be buying in all-time highs is the worst thing to do. You should only be selling when we're in blue sky breakouts. You should never be buying unless we are in a pullback. That's my opinion. Because I think there's a very good chance that we come back down.
We do have this one, which is how do you overcome fear of repeating past mistakes?
The fear. Okay, guys, there's a lot of questions here that come down to basically the same answer.
Yeah.
And it's you lack emotional discipline, right? How do you get emotional discipline? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. One, you put some sort of practice into your life that allows you to journal or put your thoughts out into the world, right? Whether it's meditation or prayer or journaling. And then two, you use an amount of money that is completely meaningless to you. And that in itself, those two things will make it so you are not scared. You don't care about the end result, but you still keep working in an objective way towards the end goal, because ultimately we have an end goal, right? We have this picture of what we want to do is become that day trader, you know, making money here every day, in and out sort of thing. And that's the end goal. So we journal so that we could follow that path to get there. But every day, every month, every week, we go up and down, and it needs to be completely meaningless to us, right? So I can sit here and blow 100 counts in a row and it won't matter to me, because that's the way that I've set up my life. Am I disconnected?
Emma.
Disconnected on my side.
You disconnected on my side. Maybe.
I don't know. We're the exact same internet connection.
Yeah, maybe the stream's cutting out here. Anyways, Emma, come join me here.
Shuffle over.
So that being said, guys, I think maybe that might be a good point to kind of leave it off at. James, do you have anything else to add? Yeah, show on stream.
There you go.
There we go. The internet's cutting out. Guys, I think we're going to kind of wrap it up there. James, do you have anything else to add on what we're saying? I can't even remember what we're talking about.
Let's leave it like that. Let's leave it like that.
Great way to end it off. Emma's cutting out on my side again here too. So I'm not sure who can be heard where, but Emma's going to pick a winner.
I am.
You're going to post it in where?
I'm posting it on YouTube because that's what was most active
Okay.
today. We had everyone on YouTube.
Everyone's watching on YouTube. We have pretty good viewership today, guys. Emma's going to post in the comment section there who won a 50K Maven challenge. For anyone else who did not win today, you go to maventrading.com. You can get accounts flow is like $13 or as high as too much dollars. Okay. Thanks for watching. We're going to tune in again next week with a brand new series of in June. We'll be in Cyprus next time. So thanks for joining us, James. Thanks for joining us.
As always, bro. Always appreciate it.
Ciao.